Hello everyone, this is Vishmita, third year medical student, University of Jaffna. Today I am going to explain about anatomical features of kidney and ureter. We are going to discuss essay questions and also MCQ, SRQ questions related to the kidney and ureter. The kidney is the retroperitoneal organ in the paravertebral gutters. The kidney's long axis is parallel with the lateral border of psoas major muscle. In this picture, you can see vertically the kidney lies approximately from the upper border of the T12 vertebra to body of L3 vertebra, and the hilum of the kidney is directed anteromedially. The hilum of the right kidney is below the transpyroric plane and the hilum of left kidney is above the transpyroric plane. So what are the side differences of the left and right kidney? You can see the right kidney is little lower than the left kidney because the liver is superiorly located and the right kidney little away from the midline. So, here you can see the inferior vena cava is medially located to the right kidney and the right kidney lies anterior to the 12th rib, but the left kidney lies anterior to 11th and 12th ribs. Now we are going to see a MCQ question. The question is, kidney's long axis is along the medial border of psoas. What do you think about this question? This is a false statement. Why? Because the kidney's long axis is along the lateral border of psoas. That is the true statement. Now we are going to see about relations of kidney. This is very important topic because in past paper essay questions they are asked about anatomical relations of right kidney. So first we are going to see about the posterior relations of kidney. The posterior relations are similar to both kidneys. So what are the posterior relations? The first one we can say diaphragm. Behind the diaphragm there is an important thing, costodiaphragmatic recess. This is at risk in the lumbar approach to the kidney. And behind the kidney there are some muscles are posteriorly related. From medial to lateral we can see psoas major muscle and quadratus lumborum muscle and transversus abdominis muscle. To the upper pole, the medial and lateral arcuate ligaments are posterior relations to the upper pole. And also, emerging beneath the lateral arcuate ligament, there are some neurovascular structures. You can see in this picture, the subcostal nerve is one from that, emerging from the lateral arcuate ligament. Also, the subcostal vein and also subcostal artery also emerging from the beneath the lateral arcuate ligament. And from the lateral border of psoas major, iliohypogastric nerve and ilioinguinal nerve also emerging. These also posterior relations to the both kidneys. Now we are going to see some MCQ questions. The first one is, costodiaphragmatic recess of pleura is posteriorly related to kidney. That is true. The second question is, following structures in contact with kidney posterior. The first one is quadratus lumborum muscle. That is true. Second one is iliohypogastric nerve. That also true. The iliohypogastric nerve and ilioinguinal nerve both are emerging from lateral border of psoas major muscle. The third one is diaphragm. That also true. The fifth one is subcostal nerve. It also true. Subcostal vein, subcostal artery and subcostal nerve are emerging beneath the lateral arcuate ligament. But the fourth statement, lumbar artery, is false. Now we are going to see anterior relations of both kidneys. First we are going to see right kidney. The superior part of the right kidney is anteriorly related to right suprarenal gland, liver and peritoneum of hepatorenal pouch. Middle part is related to descending part of the duodenum and the inferior part laterally related to hepatic flexure and medially related to coils of small intestine. Next, left kidney. The superior part is anteriorly related to left suprarenal gland, stomach, spleen and peritoneum of lesser sac medially and peritoneum of greater sac laterally. This is important because it is asked in the MCQ question. And the middle part is related to body of pancreas and splenic vessels, both artery and vein. And the inferior part laterally related to splenic flexure of colon and beginning of descending colon and medially related to coils of small intestine. This is about the relations of the hilum. From anterior to posterior, we can say in order, first renal vein, renal artery and renal pelvis. And also the medial relations of the kidney, above the hilum, that is suprarenal glands, and the below the hilum, that is ureter. This is a MCQ question. Lateral part of upper half of left kidney is in contact with peritoneum of lesser sac. So, this is a false statement. Why? Because the lateral part of the left kidney is in contact with the peritoneum of greater sac. So, this is a false statement. Next topic is coverings of the kidney. In this picture, you can see perinephric fat, which lies outside the renal capsule. This plays a part in retaining the kidney in position. In nephroptosis, that means floating kidney, may develop after severe loss of weight. This is asked in a MCQ question. And outside of the perinephric fat, you can see renal fascia. This fascia is condensation of the areolar tissue between parietal peritoneum and posterior abdominal wall. It has two layers, anterior and posterior layers. This layer is superiorly enclosed the suprarenal gland. A facial septum forms a separate compartment for it. When you trace downwards, this fascia disappears into the extraperitoneal tissue around the ureter. Passing the perinephric space, an injection into it do not usually trace downwards, but increasing pressure may force the fascia to rupture and allow such contents to flow downwards retroperitoneally towards the pelvis. When we see this renal fascia in lateral compartment, these two layers, which means anterior and posterior layers, fuse together and continuous with fascia transversalis. Medially, this fascia is attached to the renal vessels and ureter. Now we move on to the MCQ question. According to renal fascia, the first statement is renal fascia separates the suprarenal gland from kidney. It is true. That means a facial septum forms a separate compartment to the suprarenal gland. The next statement is the renal fascia surrounded by perinephric fat. What do you think? This is false. Why? The perinephric fat is surrounded by the renal fascia. The third one is The renal fascia enclose adrenal gland. That is true. And fourth one is the renal fascia adherent to parietal peritoneum. That also true. The last one is anterior and posterior layer of renal fascia fuse below lower pole of kidney. That is false because inferiorly the two layers remain separately and enclose the ureters. In the lateral part only the two layers may fuse. The next topic is blood supply and segments of the kidney. This is important topic because in essay they asked arterial supply to kidney. The renal artery leaves the abdominal aorta at right angles at L2 level. In this picture you can observe the renal artery which is behind the pancreas and the renal veins. At the hilum, the renal artery will divide into two divisions, anterior and posterior divisions. So in this picture you can see the renal artery will be divided into anterior and posterior division at the hilum of the kidney, and the anterior division will be supplied to the superior, upper, middle and lower segments of the kidney, and the posterior division will supply to the posterior segment of the kidney. So in this chart you can observe how the blood supply of the kidney has been arranged. Pattern of branching of the vessels may differ, but there are always 5 segments but no collateral circulations between them. There are some abnormal arteries also we can see. For example, a vessel running from aorta to lower fold, that is an unusual origin, but they are not accompanied by the veins. When we talk about the veins from the renal segments communicate with each other, not like the arteries. And the veins form 5 or 6 vessels and they unite at the hilum and form a single renal vein. Now we are going to see some MCQs related to the blood supply to the kidney. The first one is collateral circulation is present between renal segments. That is false. There are no collateral circulation between them. The next one is kidney is supplied by 4 segmental arteries. That also false because there are 5 segmental arteries. The anterior division of the renal artery will supply to superior, upper, middle and lower segments. The posterior division of the renal artery will supply to the posterior segment. So altogether there are 5 segmental arteries. The third one is veins from the renal segments communicate with one another. That is true. The veins have communication between them, not like the arteries. There are no collateral circulation between arterial supply. The next one is lymph drainage of the kidney. The lymphatics of the kidney will be drained to para-aortic nodes at the level of L2 vertebra level, which is the level of origin of renal arteries. And there are some MCQs related to the lymph drainage. The first one is para-aortic nodes accompany the renal artery at L2 level. That is true. And the next one is lymphatics of kidney drains to para-aortic nodes. That also true. The next is nerve supply. Sympathetic from T12 to L1. Pain may be referred to back and lumbar region, which may radiate to anterior abdominal wall and down to external genitalia. So in MCQ question they ask pain due to stone in renal pelvis is referred to back of the lumbar region. So that is true statement according to the theory. Next, we move on to structure of the nephron. In past paper essay, they asked about draw and label a diagram of normal nephron. For this question, you have to draw like this structure and mention the parts of the nephron. They include proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule, and collecting duct. Now we are going to discuss about the ureter. The length of the ureter is 25 centimeter. Throughout the length, it is an extraperitoneal part. In essay, they are asked about possible site at which the ureteric stone can lodge. For this question, we have to mention three parts. They are the constrictions of the ureter. The first one is pelvic ureteric junction, and the second one pelvic brim, and the third one is passage through bladder wall. This is the narrowest at all. In past paper essays, they are asking about course and relations of ureter. So how we are going to answer for this question? The ureter is 25 cm long. It lies in the abdominal and pelvic cavity. The ureter passes down on psoas major under cover of peritoneum. Both ureters are crosses the genitofemoral nerve. You can see in this picture how the ureter will crosses the genitofemoral nerve, and anteriorly both ureters are crossed by gonadal vessels. In addition, right ureter is crossed anteriorly in its upper part by the third part of the duodenum, further down by right colic and iliac colic and root of the mesentery. In this picture, you can observe how the duodenum and right colic iliac colic vessels are crossing the ureter anteriorly. The left ureter is lateral to the inferior mesenteric vessels. In this picture, you can see the relations between the inferior mesenteric vessels and the left ureter. The left ureter is lateral to the inferior mesenteric vessels, and the left ureter is crossed anteriorly by the left colic vessels and apex of the sigmoid mesocolon. Now the ureter leaves the psoas muscle at the bifurcation of the common iliac artery over the sacroiliac joint and passes into the pelvic cavity. The ureter usually runs over external iliac artery and vein and then down the side wall of the pelvis in front of the internal iliac artery behind the ovary. In order from above downwards, it crosses the obturator nerve, obliterated umbilical artery, obturator artery and obturator vein. The ureter reaches the level of ischial spine and turns forwards and medially above the pelvic floor to enter the base of the bladder at its upper lateral angle. In the male, vas deferens crosses above the ureter and then round down medial to ureter. Upper end of seminal vesicle usually lie just below the point where the ureter enters the bladder wall. On the pelvic floor in the female, the ureter lies in the base of the broad ligament, where it crossed above by the uterine artery. In male and female, the ureter runs obliquely through the bladder wall for 1 to 2 cm before reaching their orifices at the upper lateral angles of the trigone. This course produces a sphinctering function of the ureter. So we discussed about the course and relations of the ureter. Now we move on to MCQ questions related to the course and relations of the ureter. The first one is ureter is crossed anteriorly by gonadal vessels. That is true statement. The second one is ureter crosses pelvic brim at the bifurcation of common iliac artery. That also true statement. The next MCQ is tip of 7th costal cartilage is the superior point for the surface marking of ureter. This is false statement. What is the surface marking of the ureter? From tip of 9th costal cartilage to bifurcation of common iliac artery is the surface marking of the ureter. So, this correct statement is tip of 9th costal cartilage is the superior point for the surface marking of ureter. And there are also another essay here. What are the bony landmarks that help in locating the stone in ureter in plane X-ray? So the answers are medial to tips of transverse process of lumbar vertebra, pelvic brim at sacroiliac joint, ischial spine and pubic tubercle. So the last thing of the ureter is blood supply of the ureter. The upper part of the ureter is supplied by the ureteric branch of the renal artery. The lower part of the ureter supplied by some vessels. They are branches from superior and inferior vesical arteries, uterine artery, abdominal aorta, gonadal vessels, common iliac artery and internal iliac artery. These vessels form a good anastomosis which are each other in the ureter and forming a longitudinal channels. The venous drainage is by veins. They are corresponds to the arteries.